I am just a simple man, trying hard to understand. Where's my place in your great plan? Oh Lord, help this man. Lord, I am just a simple man.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome to a new episode of One Step Closer. I'm your host, Kareem Eid. I wish you all a happy Eid, and I wish the whole ummah a happy Eid. And I ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to accept our prayers, to accept our fasting, to accept our charity, and to accept all our good deeds. And I'd like to remind all the viewers that we are broadcasting live on the first day of Eid. So you can call us at any time on these numbers. Country code 202-38-555-248 or 249. Or you can send us an email at onestepcloser@huda.tv. I would like to thank and welcome Sheikh Mu'tasim al-Hamidi for being with us today on the day of Eid. Assalamu alaikum, Sheikh.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Taqabbal Allah.
تقبل الله منا ومنكم يا عيد كريم جزاكم الله خير.
وإياكم, Sheikh. What would you like to tell our viewers?
Basically, I would just extend my greetings on Eid, and I say تقبل الله منا ومنكم. May Allah accept our good deeds and your good deeds, and may Allah accept our fast, our recitation of the Quran, and our Qiyam al-Layl. And I ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to answer our supplications and to change the state of this ummah. So hopefully the next Eid comes when our ummah is in a better position and in better conditions.
Ameen. Ameen. A lot of people might tell you, we have been worshipping Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for 30 days. We have been refraining ourselves from a lot of sins. Can we just have fun on the first day of Eid? Can't we just go to party, listen to music, go to the movies, have just some fun?
I think there's here a contradiction in terms because people always associate fun with music, with what is haram. But that's not the reality of fun, because there's definitely a harmful type of fun and a good type of fun. Good type of fun is the thing that is good for your heart, good for your body, good for your being. And that's exactly what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala commands us to do throughout Islam. Islam was sent for us. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, يُرِيدُ اللَّهُ لِيُبَيِّنَ لَكُمْ وَيَهْدِيَكُمْ سُنَنَ الَّذِينَ مِنْ قَبْلِكُمْ. Allah wants to clarify things, the realities of things for you. And He wants to show you the mistakes of the people who came before you. He also says, يُرِيدُ اللَّهُ أَن يُخَفِّفَ عَنْكُمْ وَخُلِقَ الْإِنسَانُ ضَعِيفًا. Allah wants to make things light for you. Allah wants to make things easy for you, because man is created weak. The nature of man, that he's weak. That's the reality of human beings. So we are weak. Allah wants to make things easy for us. By enjoining what is good for us, by reminding us and instructing us what's good. What's good for our hearts, our souls, our bodies, and our well-being generally. And even our social life and everything. So people always, as I said, most of the time are short-sighted. So they consider music, which is harmful to their hearts, harmful to their souls, sins that really destroy their happiness, the real sense of happiness. And they think that this is fun. The problem is that most people don't relate the consequences, which is depression, a lot of mental illnesses, a lot of bad and negative feelings that they have. They don't relate them to their sins, to their evil doings. They don't relate them. They just break that connection, and they keep doing the same sorts of sins, keep affecting their hearts negatively, affecting their lives and the quality of their lives, without associating the negative results they receive to their real causes. And that's the real problem. So can we have fun? Obviously we can have fun. We should have fun on the day of Eid. That's the command of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And we have fun by worshipping Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, by being happy, being thankful that Allah really made us live all these 3 days of Ramadan and worship Him. There were people who couldn't witness Ramadan this month. There were people who couldn't fast. They were alive, but they couldn't fast. There were people who died during the month of Ramadan. Allah gave you more time, more chance to worship Him and to be obedient. So we thank Allah for that, and we feel happy, we congratulate each other, we make our children happy, we try to give them a nice time, some free time. That's fine to play and enjoy themselves. So obviously we can have fun, but it's the positive type of fun that's responsible, inshallah.
So the problem is that people associate fun with haram stuff. They always think that playing music or playing the haram stuff,
Definitely, definitely, because we've submitted to shaitan, we've submitted to other ways of life that are incompatible with Islam, and they set the rules, they set the terms, what's fun, they define what's fun, what's not. But no, we should have our own character, our own personality, our own distinction as Muslims, and we can tell from real knowledge what's good fun and what's harmful fun.
Can we shed some light on how the Sahaba used to spend their Eid?
Generally speaking, the Sahaba would congratulate each other, spend some time with the family. Definitely the first thing would be praying the Eid prayer with the Prophet ﷺ, greeting each other, spending that time with each other. There were different narrations that the companions, for example, used to have social gatherings, generally speaking, and the kids would play around. I don't have really anything specific about that, like a specific incident, but generally that was the mood that we, or the impression that we get, that they had during the 8 days.
So it's a sense of joy that they have, after worshipping Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for 30 days, being obedient. So it's like the gift that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives the Muslims after fasting for 30 days, obeying Him.
Yes.
Subhanahu wa ta'ala.
Well, Eid, if we contemplate Eid always comes, we have two Eids, so both of them come after a great act of worship. After fasting during Ramadan, the second Eid comes after Arafah, which is the main pillar in Hajj, the great act of worship. So it shows that our feeling of happiness, our greetings, our congratulations emanate, or they come as a result of fulfilling a great duty towards Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that we are obedient to Allah. So we really feel, we just sort of reward ourselves with what is good. Remind ourselves that you will be rewarded a minor reward in this world, but inshallah we remind you of a greater reward with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So it's just because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, because He's the creator, He knows the nature of human beings. Once we work hard, we need some time of we need to take some time out, but not separate ourselves from worship, but to alternate, come to a new aspect of worship. In Ramadan was dedication, hard work, deprivation of food, drink and conjugal relations. Now all of these are halal for you, you should enjoy them, and worship Allah by means of that enjoyment. So it's a different type of worship still.
So actually by enjoying our time, by having fun, that actually could be considered an act of worship?
Definitely, because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, قُلْ بِفَضْلِ اللَّهِ وَبِرَحْمَتِهِ فَبِذَلِكَ فَلْيَفْرَحُوا. The thing, or the main reason that should make them happy, is that the mercy and the grace of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, which is the deen of Allah, the guidance. People are wallowing in darkness, people are causing so much mischief, corruption on the earth, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has shown us the definitions of everything. Allah has given us the criterion that defines what's right from what's wrong, and we are able to tell the reality of things. So what's better than that? We understand why what we're doing in this world, what's the meaning of our life, where we came from, where we're heading to. We have the correct map of life. And what could be better than that to be happy with? Imagine a person is lost in the desert. If you give him a map that will get him out of that desert, that would be the ultimate level of happiness that he would have. Whatever you give him would be, he might feel happy about it or enjoy it, but that would be the highest and the ultimate joy for him, to give him the map out of this maze, or out of this desert. So what about this life? People just are going around like headless chicken. They don't know what they're doing. They're trying to enjoy themselves, trying to find purpose for this life, meaning for this life, and Allah, the creator of this universe, has given that to us, and He has shared it with humanity, but most of them just have turned away from it. So this is why we feel happy.
Alhamdulillah. I'd like just to remind the viewers that you can call us anytime on the number shown on the screen, country code 202-38-555-248-249, or you can send us an email at onestepcloser@huda.tv. Back to our subject. Sheikh, Eid is for those who were worshipping Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, for those who really dedicated all their time in Ramadan. But other people actually disobeyed Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Some of them didn't even fast. Some of them just totally were disobedient through the month of Ramadan. What do you have to say to these people?
Definitely Eid is for those people who worshipped Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, were obedient to Allah. It's a gift from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to them. But everyone feels happy based on what their main purpose is. So the ones who worship Allah, what makes them happy is the fact that they have really achieved something for the sake of Allah. They've moved steps forward, steps closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That makes them happy. The ones who didn't fast, the ones who didn't really observe the rights of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, they feel happy just because, probably because of social gatherings, because of some of the practices or traditions people have in Eid, like buying toys and going to going to a picnic and enjoying themselves, probably going around traveling, things like that. So it just reflects what their purpose in life is, what their main focus is. But definitely those people will enjoy themselves probably, but they will pay the price. I'm not saying only in the hereafter, but even in this world. Because the heart is created for Allah. Our hearts are created for Allah. They won't find happiness, they won't find contentment, they won't quench the thirst that is intrinsic in them unless they get to know Allah, unless they feel they're getting closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And as I said, most people don't find or don't detect the connection between the depression they go through, the calamities that hit them, all the negative aspects of their lives or negative feelings they have. They don't connect them to their main causes, which are being away from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, being oblivious about Allah, being heedless about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. They're paying the price. So they might just feel happy, and that's a superficial level of happiness. It's not real, it's not deep, and it's not constructive. So those people, they don't mind hurting other people. For example, making so much noise, hurting other people. They don't mind enjoying themselves and causing harm to others. Why? Because it's not responsible joy. It's not responsible happiness. But whereas the real believers, the real worshippers of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, their sense of happiness is about sharing that beauty. The beauty of worshipping Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, they're sharing that feeling with others. So this is why you see them going around, walking around, smiling at people. Wallahi, today in the morning during the Eid prayer, I was looking at the faces of many people, trying to give them salam. Many of them had a frown on their faces. Why is that? That's it. But other people, mainly the practicing ones, they were looking around, spreading smiles, giving smiles to... Wallahi, that was great. That was a great feeling. It really makes you feel the warmth of Iman, subhanAllah.
And I believe we have a phone call. We have Brother Ibrahim from Nigeria. Assalamu alaikum, brother.
Wa alaikum salam. Eid Mubarak.
Eid Mubarak to you too, brother.
Eid Mubarak to you.
Assalamu alaikum.
Alaikum salam.
My question.
I'm sorry, brother.
How many days Takbir say Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, La ilaha illallah, Allahu Akbar, wa lillahi alhamd. How many days is last?
I'm sorry, what was that?
You're asking about the asking about the takbir.
La ilaha illallah, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, wa lillahi alhamd. How many days is it to be valid?
I think he's asking about the takbir.
Yes.
The right format, I believe.
The takbir is just what was narrated. There are a few, obviously, a few formulas narrated. The famous one, which is well known, you can stick to it, which everybody always does. Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, La ilaha illallah, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, wa lillahi alhamd. There's no specific intonation or kind of tuning or melody that you can use. It should be open, and the least the melody, the better it would be in the sight of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You should say that actually during Eid al-Fitr. It is right from announcing the sighting of the moon or after the Maghrib prayer. You start that after the announcement is made that tomorrow is Eid. So you start making that takbir in the streets. It's an open instruction. So in your house, in the streets, at work, where you're going to the masjid, it shouldn't be restricted to after the prayer. It shouldn't be restricted 3 times after the prayer. That's just, there's no basis for that practice. So it should be general, and each one should do it, separately. We shouldn't have do it congregationally, all of us together with the same, following the same tone, whatever it is. And during Eid al-Fitr, it ends at the khutbah of Eid. Once the khutbah of Eid is made, that's it. It ends. But with Eid al-Adha, obviously it lasts for the 4 days of Eid.
So really in the masjid, we can't, for example, in our masjid, we were all together saying it at the same time. Is that...
Well, there's no basis for
right?
that. Some scholars say that's all right, no problem with doing it, but I would prefer to stick to the sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ. He didn't stick to it 3 times, for example. He didn't do it like all of them in congregation together. So to hold on to the practice of the Prophet ﷺ would be just to do it openly. And if you happen to do it in the masjid after the prayer, fine, do it once, twice, that's fine, but don't only restrict yourself to 3 times.
Okay.
Just to break the habit, because many people think that's the tradition. You only do it in masjid 3 times after the prayer, and that's it. So they don't practice it in the street, they don't practice it at home. That's the danger of it.
Yes.
But if you want to do it in the masjid, do it. Don't stick to 3 times. Do it 5 times, do it 10 times, fine, no problem.
There's no limit.
Yeah.
And I believe we have a phone call. We have Sister Samira from Saudi. Assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum assalam. Eid Mubarak to you all.
Eid Mubarak to you too.
Mubarak to you. Thank you very much.
I don't have any questions. I just have a comment actually. I've been watching your program regularly.
Okay.
And mashallah, it's a very nice program.
Jazakumullah
Especially, Sheikh, the program you conducted about hope in Islam and in faith. It was fantastic. And I just want to congratulate you. I think you're doing a wonderful show here.
Jazakumullah khair. Thank you very much, sister. I really appreciate this.
You're most welcome. Assalamu alaikum.
Alaikum salam. Thank you for calling One Step Closer.
Alhamdulillah. I really, and I always feel grateful to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala when I hear these comments and I receive some of the emails that tell us how the brothers and the sisters managed to benefit from the things we said. Really, before Ramadan, I was trying to find out a way to share some of the common knowledge that we all have. We didn't present anything new during Ramadan.
Yes.
The hadith we shared, the verses that we shared, most of us know about them. We've heard about them repeatedly. But I just thought of a style of presenting them in an authentic Islamic style. Because these aspects that we talked about are acts of worship. But most of us don't really appreciate them.
Yes.
We just think we have choice about them. We have choice about treating people well, about having husnul khuluq, about having steadfastness. We think we have choice. As long as we pray, fast, and do these physical acts of worship, we think we've done the best that humans can do. And we think that, as I said, we have choice with these things. No, we don't have choice. These are acts of worship as prayer and fast are. And Allah will hold us accountable for that. And just remind the viewers of one hadith, the Prophet ﷺ says that إِنَّ الرَّجُلَ لَا يَبْلُغُ بِحُسْنِ خُلُقِهِ دَرَجَةَ الصَّائِمِ الْقَائِمِ. That a person, through his good manners, through his good character, the good treatment with people, he reaches the level of a person who fasts all days and he prays all nights. Just with being good to people. So these are great acts of worship that can really bring you steps closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This is why I thought of sharing that. And every day we wanted to get closer to Allah, at least one step. So these great things that we shared really can bring you closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. They are the most powerful tools that we have. The thing is that you can practice them wherever you are. You don't have to have wudu for them. You don't have to wait for Ramadan for them. You can do them at all times. That's the beauty of them. This is why we thought of sharing them in that unique manner, I believe, which is authentic, and trying to bring life back to our values in Islam. So we learn values from our Prophet ﷺ, from our companions, the companions of the Prophet ﷺ. We don't need to learn them from the East or the West, because we have them in the best original format.
Alhamdulillah. Dear viewers, don't go nowhere. We're going on a short break and we'll be right back.
Lord, I am just a simple man, trying hard to understand. The day Islam took me in. Praise be upon. And as He Lord, I am just a simple man, trying hard to understand.
Assalamu alaikum. Welcome back to One Step Closer. Dear viewers, remember, we're broadcasting live, so you can call us at any time on these numbers. Country code 202-38-555-248 or 249, or you can send us an email at onestepcloser@huda.tv. One Step Closer. To me, it was a great experience. It made me really understand worship in depth. It made me really understand what worship really is. It made me really try to implement these acts of worship that we went through in our lives. And I would like how we can tell the viewers, I want to tell the viewers like a nice way, a good plan that we could follow so we can combine all these acts of worship that we have learned and implement them in our lives.
My advice always when I face or when I receive such questions is to contemplate the state of the Prophet ﷺ, his companions and the early generations. Anyone who's familiar with the life of the Prophet ﷺ, his companions and the early generations would always detect one fact. Each day they were moving steps closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Each day they were better than the day before. That's a common practice to almost every one of them. Every day there was a new achievement. There was a new level of Iman, a new level of practicing Islam. There was a new etiquette learnt, new knowledge being acquired, a high level of spirituality and dedication to Islam, a new sacrifice for the sake of Allah. Every day there was something new. And this is why they keep moving forward to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This is why Imam al-Dhahabi says that contemplating their lives really shows that the best of their days were the last days in their lives. Yes. And every time they established a practice, for example, giving a lesson, or a circle in the masjid, if one of them started a lesson or a class, they won't stop it until death comes. That was it. So it was a common practice. If they started Qiyamul Layl, they would keep that until the day of their death. So that was their practice, and this is how we can benefit. All these values we've shared, all these great principles, great acts of worship. How can we benefit from them? You can take each one at a time. Take each one at a time and build the habit. Observe it for about 3 weeks, 4 weeks. Generally, psychologists say to build a new habit, you need, in average, 3 to 4 weeks. Obviously, this is with random habits, but there are some deep, entrenched habits that take longer times. Yes. But generally speaking, 21 days, 4 weeks would be a very good time to start a new habit. You have the habit of, for example, expressing your anger. Someone has a volcanic temper. Yes. Okay, how can they handle that? Hold yourself to account for a whole month. Make it a dedication or a challenge that I will not lose control during that time. If you make it, slowly you'll start to see that it becomes much easier to control yourself than letting your anger. So it's a habit. Once a habit is in place, it's hard to break from it. Yes. That's the beauty of habit. And we are creatures of habit. More than 90% of our behavior consists of habits. That's a gift from Allah. Yes. So once you establish a habit, then you leave it, you throw it. It carries you. You don't have to work hard when it comes to that. So my advice would be each day, or take one habit, one of these great acts of worship, take yourself to move with it one step forward and build yourself upon that. Each day take yourself to account. Commit yourself to that until you find it so much easier to practice this habit. So that would be generally one of the good practices we can do.
I believe we have a phone call. We have brother Abdul Latif from Nigeria. Assalamu alaikum.
Alaikum salam wa rahmatullah wa barakatuh.
Happy Eid to you, brother.
Yeah, just like the Sheikh, I've been watching his program for about 5 years ago, and everything you always talk about is so touching that when you hear it as a Muslim, and you can walk with it, Allah will guide you.
Alhamdulillah.
We will so pleased with him. May Allah guide all of us, and may Allah make us a good Muslim in life.
Ameen.
Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
MashaAllah.
Thank you for calling One Step Closer.
Jazakumullah khair, brother. May Allah reward him.
Ameen. Ameen.
Yeah, I really benefit of, we can benefit from what we hear and what we say and what we share, the information we share. Because knowledge, unless acted upon, becomes, worthless. Actually, it could become a proof against us. Allah will hold us accountable for what we know. So if we haven't practiced it, it will be a proof against us, will be a point against us. So we should, everything we learn, we should put it into practice. So if you take each one of these great values in Islam and take one of them for a whole month, try to practice it, like husnul khuluq. Make it, for example, break it down into a good smile, having patience with people, taking the initiative to be good to people, be charitable, offer them help. Make that your challenge for this month. Make it a challenge for this coming month. Every day, put a plan. Set a plan in the morning. Okay, today I'll do 1, 2, 3. I'll help any person in need. I'll give a smile to everyone I face. I'll start salam with every person I come across today. For example, I'll help everyone who seems to need help, but without them asking. I will just offer my help. I'll take the initiative to do that. Make it your personal struggle for 1, 2 months. Wallahi, it will become natural practice. It will become your second habit, because Allah has put this in our fitrah. So we have the tendency to do this. Yes. Once we get used to it, it becomes you. It becomes you. That you become that person. And once you establish this and you move on to another etiquette, for example, patience. You build that empire of patience within your heart. Every day, every month, you build a new habit. You become a totally different person. Yes. And then we can develop our ummah, become a better ummah. And this is what we should be doing today. And still, instead of just receiving one strike, one smack after the other, we should take the initiative and change the world.
Definitely, definitely. And we have Sister Ilham from Syria. Assalamu alaikum, sister.
Alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
We wish you happy Eid.
Thank you very much. First, I want to say, may Allah make it a blessed Eid for you, your family, and everybody.
Ameen.
Ameen.
I ask Allah to reward you for your efforts during Ramadan. The show was very beneficial, so jazakumullah khairan.
Well, yeah, and you too.
Thank you. Just one thing I want to say about Eid. It is really a blessing from Allah, because you know that we are already wounded and emotionally tired after saying goodbye to our dear visitor Ramadan. But I believe that the happiness of Eid is a deep feeling. This is something that we feel now. And I remember when I was a child, my family would try to revive the Eid night. They would find some difficulties, because staying at night is something difficult, especially if you want to stay the whole night.
Yeah.
But they were very amazed, because even if they woke up at the middle of the night, the first part of the night or the last part of the night, they would see me awake. I know some people don't sleep because they want to worship Allah. Some other people want to prepare themselves for the next day. But for me, the reason was completely different. It was only happiness that prevented me from sleeping. So, subhanAllah, Eid had a special happiness. So I encourage everybody to share this happiness with people.
Yeah.
But I ask everybody at the same time to be selfish. Yeah, be selfish when it comes to that evil creature who has been chained in Ramadan, and now he just wants to jump on us. So please don't make him be happy. Don't give him the chance to be happy, because if you do so, then he will be happy and the happiness will be taken away from you. So my point is that, as you said, you can be happy in Eid without committing sins, without mixing, smoking, or so on.
True.
So the real happiness can be achieved only by pleasing Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and this can be done at any time and at any place. And thank you very much for listening, and happy Eid.
Jazakumullah khair.
Jazakumullah khair.
MashaAllah.
Sheikh, I think really to maintain our actually following of these acts of worship, we need, I think, 3 main elements: love and sincerity first, love and patience.
Yes.
To try to have anything as a habit, or any act of worship to have it as a habit, I think we need these 3 main elements: sincerity, love, and patience. If you know that you're doing it for Allah with love and patience, I think anyone could really implement a habit, a better habit in his life.
These 3 elements, as you said, are very important, and generally speaking, once we get used to something, it becomes easier, and it becomes dearer to us, and we develop patience. We develop patience with it. These elements are very important, and also the issue of restraining oneself, just pushing oneself to do that, because the self is always rebellious.
Yes.
Once you tame it, put it under control, it will start to work for you. That's the beauty of it. I think we have another phone call. We have Sister Wafa from Egypt. Assalamu alaikum, sister.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Welcome to the show.
Jazakumullah khair. Happy Eid to you all. May Allah accept your fasting, your
Ameen.
prayer, your ibadah,
Ameen.
and all your
Jazakumullah
good
khair.
deeds.
And you too.
Just a quick question, Sheikh. nobody choose his relatives. Nobody can choose his relatives. And in such occasion, in Eid occasions, we have to visit our relatives. But this may be led to indulge in some prohibited acts. For instance, when you visit some relatives and the TV set is on, there are movies, songs, music. When you ask, please turn it down or turn it off. Oh, come on, this is Eid. How can, before this, you wanted to maintain the level of Iman you have achieved in Ramadan. And the environment around us pushes down.
Yes.
How can we keep our kinship without disobeying Allah?
True.
That's all. Jazakumullah khair. Assalamu alaikum.
Alaikum
Alaikum
salam,
salam.
Sheikh. Before we answer Sister Wafat, we have Sister Muna from Denmark. Assalamu alaikum.
Alaikum salam, and how are you guys?
Alhamdulillah, jazakumullah khair. Go
Eid
ahead.
Mubarak.
Alhamdulillah, and I'm using the wrong number and name calling you guys. Astaghfirullah.
Jazakumullah khair.
And brothers, thank you for your program. MashaAllah, it is one of the best programs, and
Alhamdulillah.
I am very glad and appreciating Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for you guys. For you giving us this program. We have youngsters in Denmark. They are not very good in English, but MashaAllah, they've learned a lot.
Jazakumullah
May
khair.
Allah bless us. And I'm saying again to you,
Ameen.
and Eid Mubarak, and thank you very much deep from the heart. And may Allah bless us all.
Ameen.
Ameen. Jazakallah khair.
Jazakumullah khair. Thank you very much, sister. MashaAllah. Very nice feelings from all the brothers and the sisters who are calling, and I really appreciate this.
Back to Sister Wafat's question.
Sister Wafat's question is a very serious issue that we all, that's a struggle for every practicing person, but the Prophet ﷺ definitely spoke about this in the famous hadith of Al-Ghuraba. And he said that Islam started or began as a stranger and will return to be a stranger, definitely. Stranger means you don't fit in.
Yes.
You stand out, people, you're different from people, or definitely that lack of compatibility will bring about so many contentions, so many problems, sometimes some quarrels and problems, obviously, disagreement is there. And that's the struggle. We have to strike a balance. I want to point out something. Many people only think about Silatul Rahim, about connecting the relations of their kins and relatives only in Eid. And that's not right in Islam. You should keep these relationships throughout the year. Eid is not the special time for kins. For example, in the practice of the Prophet ﷺ and the companions, it wasn't really known that in Eid they used to visit their relatives. Because that was their practice generally. This is the way they carried themselves. They always were in touch with their relatives.
Yes.
So why do we restrict that to Eid? Obviously, I know that most of the people are busy today, but we just shouldn't only associate Eid with, or visiting the relatives only with Eid. That's one thing. Another thing is, when we go and visit them, obviously they have many sins, music, sometimes some of the girls who are in their teenage years, they're not dressed up properly. And there are many, sometimes you hear some bad words, some bad language, and sometimes you see some practices your children don't want to see. You don't want your children to see them because they're not good for them. They might pick up some bad practices. How can we handle that? First of all, we have to be strong in the deen of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Second thing, we have to come across nicely with people. There's something psychological, I really understand, because I feel it from myself. Sometimes we feel defeated from inside. We feel we're pressurizing people, we're giving them hard time when we remind them of Allah. No, we're reminding people of what they should be upon. So we should come across nicely and confidently. When we should teach them nicely that when in our presence, please, we don't accept music. If you want to play music, please go ahead. We love you, respect you, and we appreciate that, but I can't be in a place where there's music. I have to leave. Salamu alaikum. With all my respect. You want to get upset? That's your problem. I'm not upset. You're making a sin, but I'm not upset with you, but I don't like that. So I have to leave for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. I really feel the weakness that all of the time we feel we've been threatened by everything around us. Yes, it's a threat. But why don't we rise up to a level where we really have the upper hand?
Yes. We
just, like we go to our friends or our relatives and we find there's a bad environment, there's music. Let's take a very common example. There's music, there are, for example, inappropriate things on TV. We just say to them, why don't we just speak that loud? And don't feel guilty about it. Tell them, okay, brother, sister, whatever it is, auntie, uncle, okay, Jazakallah, I'm very happy to be with you, and I really love you for the sake of Allah, and I'm happy to be here, and I would love to be here. But I'm a person who cannot be in the same place with music, and that's it, that's me. You just accept me as I am. And if you're not willing to give that up, please, no hard feelings, no problems. I'll just leave. I'll come back when you turn it off. That's it. As simple as that. And why don't we teach our children? And this is something I'm really considering for myself. Something we should be stronger than that. We should really teach our kids. The problem is that we leave our kids empty. That when they face the environment, they don't have anything to face the environment with. They don't have anything solid to stand for. So why don't we teach our kids and build them from inside, so when they see these trivial and this nonsense around, so we should come across nicely and confidently. When we should teach them nicely that when in our presence, please, we don't accept music. If you want to play music, please go ahead. We love you, respect you, and we appreciate that, but I can't be in a place where there's music. I have to leave. Salaam alaikum. With all my respect. You want to get upset? That's your problem. I'm not upset. You're making a sin, but I'm not upset with you, but I don't like that. So I have to leave for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. I really feel the weakness that all of the time we feel we've been threatened by everything around us. Yes, it's a threat. But why don't we rise up to a level where we really have the upper hand? We just, like we go to our friends or our relatives and we find there's a bad environment, there's music. Let's take a very common example. There's music, there are, for example, inappropriate things on TV. We just say to them, why don't we just speak that loud? And don't feel guilty about it. So we should come across nicely and confidently. When we should teach them nicely that when in our presence, please, we don't accept music. If you want to play music, please go ahead. We love you, respect you, and we appreciate that, but I can't be in a place where there's music. I have to leave. Salaam alaikum. With all my respect. You want to get upset? That's your problem. I'm not upset. You're making a sin, but I'm not upset with you, but I don't like that. So I have to leave for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. I really feel the weakness that all of the time we feel we've been threatened by everything around us. Yes, it's a threat. But why don't we rise up to a level where we really have the upper hand? We just, like we go to our friends or our relatives and we find there's a bad environment, there's music. Let's take a very common example. There's music, there are, for example, inappropriate things on TV. We just say to them, why don't we just speak that loud? And don't feel guilty about it. Tell them, okay, brother, sister, whatever it is, auntie, uncle, okay, Jazakallah, I'm very happy to be with you, and I really love you for the sake of Allah, and I'm happy to be here, and I would love to be here. But I'm a person who cannot be in the same place with music, and that's it, that's me. You just accept me as I am. And if you're not willing to give that up, please, no hard feelings, no problems. I'll just leave. I'll come back when you turn it off. That's it. As simple as that. And why don't we teach our children? And this is something I'm really considering for myself. Something we should be stronger than that. We should really teach our kids. The problem is that we leave our kids empty. That when they face the environment, they don't have anything to face the environment with. They don't have anything solid to stand for. So why don't we teach our kids and build them from inside, so when they see these trivial and this nonsense around, they consider they have the upper hand. They have the moral higher ground over that. So they feel they're stronger than that. So they're not prone to pick it up. So they feel stronger than that. This is what I believe we should. At this day and age, when I see Muslims are being attacked from every angle, we should really build a stronger, we should say goodbye to our weakness. We really should say goodbye to that. I'm speaking to myself with loud voice. That's it. I'm sharing that with my brothers and sisters.
Dear viewers, we have a lot more Eid issues to discuss after we come back from this short break, so please stay tuned.
Lord, I am just a simple man, trying hard to understand.
Muhammad, peace be upon him, our ultimate role model. I have left among you the book of Allah, and if you hold fast to it, you would never go astray.
Lord, I am just a simple man, trying hard to understand.
Assalamu alaikum. Welcome back to One Step Closer. Back to the topic that we were discussing. Really, sometimes, for myself, when I go and approach my relatives in a nice manner, I give them like a sweet, a soft, a smooth advice. They still tell me, you know what do you threaten me every time in your presence, I have to be restricted.
Is that if he turns music on, I'm going to tell him no. What if this happens? What if that? Okay, that kind of feeling, that kind of persona we're approaching these people with really destroys our sense of initiative. Okay. Why don't we go there willing to share some wisdom with that person?
Okay.
Instead of them setting the ground or setting the rules, why don't we do that? Mm-hmm. Why don't we just go there and tell them some of my experience, some of the good things that I've really learned, some of the experiences that I've learned from, sharing that. Every human being really evaluates human experience, and they appreciate it. If they feel that our presence, our visit is really beneficial to them, it will make a huge difference. But mainly we go there, don't do that, don't do this, don't do that, and we're just so negative.
Okay.
That's a reality. And I'm speaking from experience, obviously. I'm talking about myself, I'm talking about people I know.
Okay.
So why don't we just have a proactive, so that we make them actually look for the time when we come and visit them. So they feel it's a good time. This person has something to share, we can get some benefit when we sit with them. So they really start to appreciate and look forward to seeing you.
Okay. I believe we have a phone call. We have Sister Amina from Nigeria. Assalamu alaikum. Assalamu alaikum, sister. I think we lost connection. Sister, you can try to call us, inshallah, another time. Sheikh.
Yeah, so generally speaking, we shouldn't be so negative. I understand under the pressure, yes, we fall into the trap of this negativity. We try to, we're just like someone who has a precious thing, we're trying to protect it. That's true. But this shouldn't be the case all the time. We have to learn from experience. We have to understand the world around us. That human beings, even our relatives, they're not so bad. They're not ghosts.
Okay.
They're not beasts, they're human beings, and they have love for Islam, they have love for Iman. But we're just always searching for the points of contention, points of disagreement, and we try to blow them out of proportion.
Okay.
Now, why don't we find the common ground and build something positive with that? Obviously, theoretically speaking, it's very easy. Practically, it's difficult, but that's the first step. If we just develop this attitude, try to find out, learn from past experience, try to find out, and I'm sure it will work out. It will work out, and we have to build these bridges, because we can't be the same. We can't just seclude ourselves. And just going back to the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ saying that Islam will return as a stranger. So we have to feel as strangers, because people are taken by the tide of following generally the non-Muslims and the ways of the non-Muslims. It's inevitable that we feel this way, but it shouldn't stop us from being productive Muslims. People who try to bring our society, bring our community, Muslim community, bring it back to its roots, because people still have love for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam.
But sometimes people they seclude themselves, and they say, for example, they take the hadith of Hudayfa ibn al-Yaman, when the Prophet told them, go in a state of seclusion, separate yourself from them, even if you're going to hold on a branch of a tree. Some people tell you, okay, as the Prophet told Hudayfa that, so we're doing that. We're going to stay away from the society, and we're going to stay in a state of seclusion.
The scholars, when they talked about the hadith of Hudayfa, they explained that this is at the end of time, which refers to the state where the Prophet ﷺ says, al-harj, wa yakthuru al-harj, there will be a lot of killing. So when you live in such an environment, like what's happening in different Muslim countries, like in Afghanistan, some areas in Pakistan, Iraq, some different countries, this is where the area, because the Prophet ﷺ says the murderer doesn't know why he murdered the other person, and the other person who's murdered, the victim, doesn't know why he's been murdered. That's the time where you should seclude yourself. But I understand there are individual differences. Some people can't handle such a situation. If you can't handle such a situation, and you find it's better for you and for your relatives and for your Iman to keep your interaction with them to a minimum, but without breaking these relationships, that's fine. Okay. So each one knows about themselves better. So if you feel that you can be proactive, you can build something, that's great. That would be the best thing. But if you feel you're mixing with these people will definitely affect your iman and you can't do anything about it, then obviously keep that to a minimum. Keep your interaction with them to a minimum, but without totally breaking these relationships. Obviously, it depends on how strong you feel you are.
Okay.
Each person is different.
Okay. And we can also stay, in touch with phone calls, emails, such. I mean, would that also be considered,
Definitely.
Salat al-Rahim?
Definitely phone calls can be Salat al-Rahim. Emails sometimes can be. But obviously there's a balance. It depends on al-urf, how people see it.
Okay.
For example, if you have an aunt, you phone her every now and then, and she doesn't feel bad about you, for example, not visiting her probably only twice or 3 times a year due to your circumstances, she's okay with that.
Okay.
That the whole society is okay with that. That's fine. That's al-urf. But if she feels bad about it, and it's not right in the society you live in, then obviously you're not fulfilling their rights.
So each case actually is different, and
yes, these issues have been left for al-urf, the norms, the general practice of the people, because you cannot limit people to one-time practice. People differ, conditions differ, situations differ, so we can't obviously. That's the mercy of Islam, the mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that's apparent in Islam.
So this case is a widely open case. There's a lot of, you could say, opinion on that case.
Yes, but it just falls within the norms of the people. That's it, al-urf, the norms of the people. We shouldn't break the norms of the people in this regard.
Okay. When I eat, sometimes people go crazy. They go bananas. They just don't care for other people's rights, other people's freedom. They just go blasting music, firecrackers. I don't know, in our society here in Egypt, oh man, it's crazy.
Yes.
Blowing up a lot of crackers and stuff like that. What would you tell these people? I mean, sometimes you can't stop them, but what are you going to do?
First of all, I don't think these people watch your program, to be honest. But if they happen to watch your program, I'll just tell them, be sensitive. Think about other people, because other people, some of them, maybe somebody might be ill. You might have some little children who are sleeping. Sometimes a parent stays 2 or 3 hours with their child to put them to sleep. And just for yourself, to enjoy yourself or do something crazy, you wake up that child and they never sleep during that night. So just think about other people. And you won't imagine how many sins you'll be getting on yourself by doing that. Enjoying yourself doesn't mean to hurt other people or harm them or annoy them. Definitely, if you cause somebody else harm, believe me, you'll pay the price in this world before the next.
I mean, how to approach them? That was my question.
Approach these people?
Yeah, how?
I don't. If you can approach them with good advice, try it. If they happen to listen, that would be great. But don't fight with them. Obviously, try to speak to them nicely. Advise them, tell them that it really hurts you, and you're not trying to spoil their happiness or their joy, but you're just trying to tell them, please, I mean, you're harming me by doing this, or you're causing me whatever it is. That would be the best thing. And we should, as Muslims, we should try to build in our society good practices of happiness and joy. Bring the people together instead of letting the children do bad things like that. Forget about music and things. Why don't we get together, have some barbecue, party, whatever it is, and sit together and listen to each other, speak, share experiences. That would be better than just listening to music. So always try to be proactive when it comes to things like that.
Give other choices.
Yes.
Okay. Sheikh, unfortunately, time flew by.
Alhamdulillah, ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to bless this ummah during the days of Eid.
Amen, amen. Dear viewers, I wish you all a happy Eid, and thank you for watching One Step Closer, and wait for us tomorrow at the same time. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
I am just a simple man, trying hard to understand. Where's my place in your great plan, oh Lord, Lord, I am just a simple man, trying hard to understand. Where's my place in your great plan, oh Lord, help this man.